Hi, Bob the Canadian here. I'm in town today because I thought I would show you 4 different places that you can go if you're feeling sick. As you know, last week I wasn't feeling well. Last week I was sick, and I thought that during my time while I was sick, I should make a little English lesson for you about being sick and the things that you can say when you're sick, the things that you can do when you're sick, and of course, the 4 places that you can go when you're just not feeling well. Well, hey, welcome to this video where I'm going to help you learn to talk about being sick, and I'm going to show you a few places you can go when you're not feeling well. But before we get started, don't forget to click that red subscribe button over there and give me a thumbs up if this video is helping you learn just a little bit more English. So in English, there's a lot of different ways to say that you are sick. The simplest thing to say is I am sick or I'm sick. You could also say I feel sick. You could say I don't feel very good or I don't feel well. You could also say I'm not feeling very well. So as you can see, there are many ways in English to say that you are sick. So we just looked at a few ways that you can describe being sick. Now let's talk about what you should do if you are sick. If you are someone who has a job, maybe if you worked at one of these businesses, you would need to call in sick. In English, when you take a sick day, you need to call in sick to ask your boss if you can take a sick day. Notice I used 2 phrases there in English. You need to call in sick, so you need to get out your phone. Let me get my phone out here. And you need to call in sick. You need to call your boss and let them know that you need to take a sick day. If you are a student, you wouldn't normally call in sick. You would simply let the school know that you aren't coming in that day. Or if you are a kid, your parents would let the school know. When our kids are sick, usually Jen or I email the school or call the school to let them know that one of our kids is sick. So we reviewed how to describe being sick, and we talked about how to call in sick. Now let's talk about 4 places that you can go when you are sick, especially if you aren't feeling very well and need some medicine. Behind me, you will see the first place you could go if you were sick. Behind me is a drugstore or pharmacy. We call this a drugstore or pharmacy in Canada. I know that in other parts of the world, it might be called a chemist. But in Canada, we would call this a drugstore or a pharmacy. I know it says Drug Mart on it. I guess that's another name for it. You would go to a pharmacy to buy painkillers or cold medicine or throat lozenges. So painkillers are things like Advil, which has ibuprofen in it, aspirin, or Tylenol, which has acetaminophen in it. So the first place you might go if you're feeling sick, you might go to a pharmacy or to a drugstore. So the second place that you would go if you are feeling sick is to a medical center to see a doctor. Maybe you have a cold or flu that just won't go away. It's been a few days and you aren't feeling better. Or maybe you have weird aches and pains in your body that don't go away even when you take painkillers. Well, you would phone the medical center. You would call the medical center on your phone. Do you like my phone? And you would book an appointment with a doctor. And then at a certain time, they would say, your appointment is tomorrow at 8 a.m. At that time, you would go to the medical center for your appointment with the doctor, and hopefully he can figure out what is wrong with you. If he can figure out what's wrong with you, he might write you a prescription that you can then take back to the drugstore, and they will give you the medicine that the doctor has prescribed. So a prescription is when the doctor writes down what medicine you need, and then you go to a drugstore or pharmacy to get that medicine. So the third place that you can go if you are feeling sick is to a walk-in clinic. A walk-in clinic is a little different than a medical center. A medical center usually has regular hours and is closed on the weekends. But a walk-in clinic is usually open at night and is also open on Saturdays and Sundays. So if you are feeling sick and you feel like you need to see a doctor, but you can't get an appointment at the medical center, you can always go to a walk-in clinic. Now, you might have to wait a little longer to see a doctor, but it is very convenient to be able to go and see a doctor at night or on the weekend. So the fourth place that you would go if you were feeling sick, actually only if you're feeling extremely sick, would be the emergency room or the ER at your local hospital. You would come to the emergency room if you had a dangerously high fever, or if you had severe pain, or you had injured yourself. So the fourth place that you would go if you are feeling sick would be the emergency room, but only in situations where it is actually an emergency. When your fever's super high, or when you've injured yourself, or you have just this really debilitating pain that won't go away. I had kidney stones once, and I came to the emergency room because the pain was just incredibly bad. If you are ever in a town or city and need to find a hospital, just follow the blue signs with the white H on it and use the arrows to figure out how to get to the nearest hospital. So there is actually a fifth thing that you can do if you are sick, if you are really sick, if you are at home and you don't think you can get to a hospital and you are so sick that you are in pain and you can't drive, you could call an ambulance. In Canada, when you call an ambulance, you dial 911. I know the number is different in other countries, but I guess that is a fifth way that you could get help. If you are sick, you could call an ambulance. Well, hey, thanks so much for watching this English lesson about the things that you can say, the things that you can do, and the places that you can go when you are feeling sick. I'm Bob the Canadian, and you are learning English with me here on YouTube. Please hit that red subscribe button if you are new here. Give me a thumbs up if this video helped you learn just a little bit more English. And while you're here, why don't you stick around and watch another video?